everyone, happy holiday season. My name is Heather and today I'm getting in the festive mood and I was thinking I wanted to make a holiday dress. And in thinking about that, I thought, you know what? Let's talk about great holiday season dress patterns. And so I have spent quite a bit of time going through an insane amount of dress patterns that I thought would be fitting for the holidays and kind of compiled a list here to share with you. I hope you were also getting as excited for the season as I am and thinking about what things you want to make. So if you have any favorite holiday dress patterns, definitely drop them down in the comments section below. I would love to see what you have in your mind as well and what other patterns are out there, and we can sort of get in the holiday spirit together. So in going through and scouring the patterns that are out there, let me tell you, I ended up with a much bigger list than I was originally planning to make. And even then, I still cut things out that could have been included, which is why I say if you have any favorites, I would love to know what they are. Put them down in the comments. We can all help each other kind of find amazing patterns with the season in mind. But I have narrowed it down to 25 and I have broken it down by beginner-friendly patterns. So I have 5 with beginners in mind. I have 10 from the big 4 patterns, and then I have 10 indie patterns to share with you, as well as a link to some free patterns at the end of this that I will share with you as well. Now, I tried to be conscious of at least including mostly size-inclusive patterns. I think there were 1 or 2 that were maybe like slightly less, but most of these should be pretty size-inclusive. Most of these are PDF options with, I think, 2 maybe only that are physical copy only. I know some of you though in the States are still able to access that. So I did include a couple that were print copies and things like that. And I know some people are able to get them quicker than I am as well. So they will be in there, but I did try to think of a lot of different styles, think of a lot of different options and body types and things like that. So let's kick it off with the beginner friendly patterns. All right, so number 1 for the beginner-friendly patterns, and I am kind of starting with what I think would be on the easier side to the slightly more adventurous beginner side. But the first pattern I have is McCall's 8032. And the reason I chose this pattern is because it is pretty simple design-wise, but you do have those elements of adding the ruffle options to this, and it is a very timeless silhouette. I am actually teaching this in a private class right now, and I am using a print that I think will be appropriate for the holidays. So it will be sort of a holiday dress when it is done. And it's just a piece that you can easily change the look of because of the simplicity of this dress. So I am using a plaid on mine right now, and I am going to, I think, make a bow for the lower back. There are tutorials out there where you can easily whip up a bow and just change up the look. Again, even if you wanted to do a solid color, you could add jewelry, you could do a velvet. There's a lot of different things you could do to take this holiday, and I think it's a nice silhouette and very beginner friendly. I do want to mention as well, I have not necessarily made all of these patterns, but I did try to mostly stick to reputable pattern companies or pattern companies that I have heard good things about, things like that. The next pattern I have in mind is one that I am planning on making very soon. I have had the materials for it for a while because it's such a flattering dress and I've seen it made so many times by so many people and it always looks great. And that is the graduation dress by My Ardor. I hope I'm saying that right. It is an Etsy seller, but this dress has a full tutorial. So again, for beginners, you can go watch that video and be sort of walked through it, which is always great when you're a beginner to have patterns that have video tutorials to go along with them. While this might not on its face seem as holiday, again, I definitely think it can be depending on how you dress it up. You can throw a little, fur coat over it. There's all different ways. So a lot of the patterns I've picked out too are going to require a little bit of imagination on some of them, but I definitely think this is such a classic, beautiful, timeless silhouette that would work on lots of body types and is going to be friendly for the beginner. Next up is another pattern that I will be making very, very soon. It is high on my list. I have fabric on the way right now, and that is Vogue 1723. I can't get over this pattern. I already liked it from the front view, but when I flipped it over and saw the big bow at the neck on the back, I was sold. I think this is a great dress, not only for the holidays, for Christmas, but definitely could be New Year's as well. This could go a lot of different directions. And so I did order a crepe back satin for mine, but I just love it. I think this could be beautiful again in so many ways, so many interpretations of this. And it is supposedly an easy pattern. Again, I haven't sewn it up myself yet. I put it kind of in the middle of these because I think it probably will fall in the middle of these in terms of complexity for the beginner patterns, but I do think it's going to be pretty straightforward, and I love this dress, so definitely one to consider. All right, so the next pattern comes from Made for Mermaids, and that is the Christina dress. Now, this comes in a top, a mini length, a midi length, so it's really great too because it has a lot of different variations. This is going to be a knit pattern, but beginners are completely capable of working with knits. I know it's going to be something a little bit different, which is why I put it near the end of my beginning 5, but I love that there's all the variations in the top, in the dress, in the length, and you know, not everybody wants to dress to the nines necessarily for the holidays, and I thought this was kind of a good middle ground because, again, depending on the fabric and the choices you make, maybe you add a contrast binding, there's different things that can be done with this pattern, and I just loved the variations. I loved the options, so I think this is another good beginner choice. All right, so number 5, rounding out my beginner list, is the Vicky Sews Donna dress. Now, one thing to keep in mind with Vicky Sews patterns is you have to buy one individual size. So if you're needing to grade between sizes, I realize this is not necessarily the most convenient. So I do have a few on the list, but it's not many because of that. However, this is such a beautiful classic silhouette that, again, I think would flatter so many body types, and it can really be dressed to the nines or not. It just gives you a lot of flexibility because it's such a classic, clean silhouette. It does say it is beginner friendly, but I did put it near the end of the list because I have a feeling there's a lot of refinement in the finishings. So yes, just something to keep in mind. There are other dresses very similar out there. I did see another one on the Simplicity website with a very similar silhouette. So if you are looking for something with a range of sizes, there are options, but this silhouette in general, I think is beautiful for a holiday dress. All right, and that brings me to the big 4 patterns I have selected. So these are going to be Simplicity, Know Me, Vogue, Butterick, New Look, all of those types of patterns. First on my list, as soon as I saw it, it was just instantly added. I knew that this was going to stay on my list for sure, and that is Vogue 2044. This, again, very timeless silhouette, very classic aesthetic, and the bows kind of going down the bodice, it just screams holiday. What more can I say? I think this is the perfect quintessential holiday dress. Next up is McCall's 8141. And the thing is, I feel like I keep gravitating towards bows because something about the holidays, just you want a bow on something. But I like that this is more of a silky or poly silk style of fabric. At least that's, you know, a choice you can make here. And I do think that that can also lend itself really well to the holidays. So I wanted something that had a little more like, I don't know if sexiness is the right word, but a little bit of that slinky vibe to it. And I thought this was a great choice because, again, you've got one without sleeves. You've got the big sort of almost like a bishop sleeve. I think would be a bishop sleeve. And then also the billowy shorter sleeve with the big bow at the neck. So I think this gives you a great variety of options. Next up on the list is Vogue 2133. This is a very recent pattern that has come out. And I was on the fence about it for a long time because I think if I made this, and I would make this, I do think it's quite cute. I think I would want the dress just a hair longer so that it peeks out under that cape situation. I think it would just look a little bit, I don't know, I think it would look a little nicer if I could just see just the tiniest sliver of that dress coming out from underneath the cape. Maybe I'd feel differently once I made it, but that's kind of my instinct. But I do think what a fun choice for the holidays. Again, we've got these beautiful bows. There's so many different types of prints that you could do for this, or again, keep it clean, keep it classic. So I'm definitely a fan of trying this one out. All right, so number 4 on the list is one of the ones that is a paper pattern only. I think there was another one earlier and I should have put it on the screen for you, but just so you know, this is a paper pattern only option, but it's very easy to see on Simplicity 9643 here that this could read holiday. They've chosen it in a velvet, so it doesn't leave a lot of guesswork. You can see that that can go very holiday. Okay, so I just wanted to pop in because while I was editing, I realized that currently this is only a paper only and a plus size only pattern. And I don't know if they ever ran it in other sizes, but it is a 20W to a 38W and it is a beautiful dress. So if this is your size range, I think this is a wonderful option for the holidays. I think this is a dress that a lot of girls would like. I personally tend to do less of the like ruffling at the bottom and things like that. I love it on other people, which is why I included it, because I think this would look so great on so many people. But I don't know if you ever have a style that you try and you're like, hey, I love this style on other people. It just doesn't read right on me. This probably wouldn't personally be one I would make, but I think I'd see it on other people and love it. So I'm definitely a fan of this for the girl that likes, all of the different tiered ruffled layers and things. I think it's really, really beautiful. Number 5 on my list was actually a late entry. I kind of ran into this as I was wrapping up what I was doing. And, the funny thing is, I'm sitting here going through making these lists, compiling my thoughts, and I just end up adding to shopping cart, right? I mean, can anyone else relate? I just ended up buying several patterns myself, this being one of them. And this is McCall's 7625. It is a petite pattern in a PDF only on this one. I'm specifically looking at view A, the green dress that you will see here. This has such a beautiful 50s classic silhouette, which is something I love the lines of the 50s and the little hip, like the dropped hip with the, somebody help me with the word. It's not gores, but the little ruffled sections. It's stunning. And again, while I find these choices on the pattern a bit on the costume side, you could definitely elevate this with the right fabric, I don't even mind the idea of like a tartan of some sort, or a plaid of some sort, if it was the right one. I just think this could go so timeless holiday, and I'm a big fan, and I will definitely be making this at some point. Number 6 is Simplicity 9850. This is a Madeline creation. It is this beautiful, just romantic style dress that has this sort of fluttery strap at the top, and you've got, again, that tiered ruffle at the bottom, which I actually do like in this sheer sort of overlay that's happening. I think if you had this in a beautiful holiday burgundy, this could, again, go very holiday, and it could give you a lot of options. Now, I know bust cups are not always the most fun or beginner friendly, but for someone who is a bit adventurous, I think there is a lot of potential in making this a holiday dress. Number 7 is New Look 6786. This is another paper pattern only. Again, I know some of you will have access to these where I ordered this. It's another one I picked up when I was going through things. I haven't used a lot of New Look, again, if I'm being very transparent, but when I look at the line drawings on this, because I'm not a big fan of the fabric choice on the model, or, maybe the fit on the model exactly, but when I look at all of these necklines and the little puffy cap sleeve and just beautiful silhouettes, I think this has a ton of potential. I like every single view. Made up in the right thing. So this is a smaller size range on this pattern, but I do think this gives you a lot of potential for a holiday dress. All right, number 8 on the list is Vogue 1950. This is another one that I think a lot of people might not look at initially and think holiday, but I think made up in the right material. It's so timeless, and it takes me to holidays of another era. Even though it's, the Vogue number is 1950. Again, I get a little bit of that 50s, 60s kind of a vibe out of this, and I think made in the right fabric choice or the right print choice, this could be stunning as a holiday dress. Also, it gives a little different personality. I did try to include a lot of things through this process to hit a lot of different style types, since we are speaking all of dresses. And I think this is gorgeous. Number 9 on my list is one for my youthful fashion girlies. So those girls that want to have an Instagram moment, this is kind of who I had in mind with McCall's 8450. So you do have a pant option, you have a dress option, and you have this beautiful kind of detachable train. So I definitely think this could bring the drama, again, in the right materials, could actually be even elevated to a bit of a classier place, or you could go full party and go to a more fun place. But I think for the right person, this would be a really fun choice. And last on the big 4 patterns list, my number 10 here is Know Me 2021, which is a Mimi G pattern by Gwen Hang. And again, I saw the bows, and then I flipped and saw the back with the bow, and I was done. I just think, again, something about bows gives holiday, and it's always fun because you can do it in an accent color, you can keep them the same, you could do it in a print. I just think it gives a lot of fun variety and option for the holiday season, so this would be a fun one to snag and play around with. All right, we have 10 more patterns, and they are all indie patterns. So first on my list is one that ran across my Instagram just the other day. I've already purchased it, and this is probably what I will be making for the holidays, though she had a couple and I was like, oh my gosh, I love them both. So this is by Dressmaking Amore, and this is the Vivian dress. I mean, again, the lines, the drama, it's like just the right amount of everything. I do think the mini version is a little shorter than I would like. I would either lengthen it a hair, or I believe there is a midi option as well. I might go full midi. I'm not sure yet. I'm either going to lengthen it a hair or I'm going to go full midi, but I just think the balance on this dress is chef's kiss, perfect. You've got this boat neckline, the high waist, the paneling that's very figure flattering. Then you've got, again, sort of this sleeve that bells near the bottom. It's such a good balance, I think. So I really want to make this. This is high on my list. And yeah, beautiful pattern. Number 2 on the indie pattern list is going to be another Vicky Sews pattern. And this one is definitely a bit interpretive on my part, but that is the dress Farida. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but even though it's a dress, I like the dress over the pant. So again, for a girl who's maybe a little more into sleek and sophisticated and got a little bit of that fashion New York edge, I think the right color choice and material, and I do think sheen gives it that holiday feeling, that this could just be so elegant. So I really like this for a little bit different of a vibe. Number 2 on my indie pattern list is one more Vicky Sews pattern. This will be the last Vicky Sews pattern, but this is Dress Mercedes. When I saw these ruched hips, that was it. I think for holiday, again, it just brings the drama. And for a girl, again, that can kind of handle like a lower neckline and things like that, this is quite the moment. And this might be for like a fancier party, I feel like, something like this, but it definitely gives holiday and definitely gives drama. All right, number 4 on this indie pattern list is a dress by Kiana Bonolo, who also has a YouTube channel, so I will leave that linked here. And this also, I think, has a YouTube tutorial with it, and that is the boat neck mod dress. Now, again, one that I have interpreted in my mind a little bit that you might not look at and think, oh, holiday, right off the bat. But I love this interesting sweep, kind of diving into the skirt from the bodice. And I think, again, if you played around with like a solid and a plaid and did some different things, you could get something really interesting here for the holidays. This is another one I picked up because I'm like, I definitely want to play around with that. I think there's a really cool way to do that. So just something to kind of keep in mind, again, for someone that likes to try something a little bit different, something a little unique. I think this could be an interesting dress for the holidays. Number 5 is a dress from Friday Pattern Company, which is the Hughes dress. And the reason I selected this one, it looks to me on the model like this isn't a linen. And again, I know not everyone is going to want to dress to the nines. I know I have a lot of girls who enjoy sort of the rustic countryside, cottagey vibe. And I think you could easily do a dress like that for the holidays, especially if you've got a certain aesthetic going on. It would just look so classic and romantic in a different way. So I did pick this because I think, again, depending on the color choice, depending on the print choice, this could read like old-timey holiday and really would be nice for a lot of people. Number 6 is the Style Arc Sussex cape dress. Now this does come without the cape as well. You can just get the dress without the cape, but I think the cape is what kind of gives it the drama, right? So for me, I would definitely go with the cape version. Again, another very classic, timeless type of silhouette that is going to read sophisticated. And I love that about it, but definitely one that can be dressed up for the holidays. You could even do, you know, a velvet capelet and a solid bottom. You could do a whole lot of different things, but I really like it. All right, so next up is a company I have not had the pleasure to try yet, but I would like to. I hear lots of good things, and that is Chalk and Notch. I chose the Shea dress, again, with my girls in mind who kind of like the cottage core sort of aesthetic, the linens, things like that. This dress does have some different variations on the sleeve and things, but I really like the sleeve option they have on the model for the holidays. I like the little bow right here at the sort of short sleeve cuff, and I like the different tiers. The buttons is a lot of buttons. This could be done so many beautiful ways, and I'm such a fan of metal buttons, so depending on what you chose, you could definitely dress that up with some fancy buttons. So I think, again, for the girl that likes that kind of aesthetic, this could be a really pretty choice. Next up is the only pattern company that I don't know anything about. I did see people had sewn up their pieces. This was an Etsy seller, so just fair warning, it doesn't mean it's not good. I just have not heard much about this. This was the one that I was like, oh, I just like it so much I have to include it. So that is going to be the Colette dress by Pattern Cos, C-O-S. So they have a website as well. It's not just Etsy, so I will link both. But look at this dress. I love the structure in the bodice and how it's just barely grazing the shoulder into this billowed sleeve. Yeah, I mean, talk about reading holiday. And then the back. This was definitely kind of when I originally was thinking holiday dress. This sort of summed up the entire picture in my mind. So I definitely will give this a try at some point as well. I just wanted to give a fair warning that I don't know much about this designer, but that is the only one I don't know a lot about that I included. But it seems to be the girl making the patterns in all the pictures, so it seems legit, but just fair warning. Beautiful dress though. All right, number 9 on my indie pattern list is the Martha dress by Tilly and the Buttons. This one again kind of rides the line to me between casual and dressy, but depending on what you did, you could kind of push it either direction, which is what I love about this pattern. I love the choice of this embellishment at the neck and at the sleeve bottom, and I think there's a lot you could do with that. I think this could be a relatively easy sew. I don't know if it's necessarily marketed to beginners specifically, but I don't think it seems like it would be that challenging. So even if you are an adventurous beginner, maybe another one to kind of keep in mind. I just thought this kind of gave something a little different the others don't, with this sort of mock neck and this 3/4 sleeve. And I wanted to include this one as well. And last but certainly not least is the Hollywood dress from Charm Patterns. Again, the way she's got it made up already screams holiday, right? So it's not hard to envision. And there are different variations to this as well. And there's a version that's just the skirt too. So maybe you want to just do a skirt. I decided to do a video on dresses, but if somebody's looking to do a skirt and a top, even this as a skirt would be a beautiful option. So if you want the drama, you want the glam, I think this is going to certainly give you that. And I do love a good charm pattern, so I had to round it out with that. All right, so one more thing I wanted to mention is that I did find a blog post from Mood Fabrics where they had, I think it's 11 holiday dress patterns that they offer for free. So I wasn't going to sit and go through every single one, but I am going to include a link to that in the description box. Not all of their patterns are always the most detailed in terms of instructions, so keep that in mind, but there were a lot of really cool patterns there too. So definitely check that out if you are looking for some free holiday patterns this season. Those are my 25 that I have compiled. It just made me want to sew. Let me know if you had any favorites down below, and also if you have any that you are really passionate about for a holiday dress, because like I said, I could have done easily a list of 100. There were so many beautiful dresses and ideas I had going through things, but this is what I sort of narrowed it down to in terms of different aesthetics, different styles, different skill sets, big four versus indie patterns, things like that. I wanted it to be nice and well-rounded, but I would love to know what you are going to be sewing for the holidays, or patterns that you would suggest others look into as well, because like I said, there are so many great ones. I'm sure if you mention any down in the comments, I'm going to go look them up and probably end up with some in my cart at some point as well. So thank you in advance for being the bad influence, and hopefully I've been a little bit of a bad influence on you as well to go pick out some holiday patterns. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy fashion and style and sewing type of content, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button, and please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help the channel, and I always very much appreciate it. I will see you in the next video, and have a great holiday season. Bye.